This week's episode of The Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Extract on DVD and Blu-ray, December 22nd, 2009.
The new voice-activated sync featuring hands-free calling, music search, and turn-by-turn navigation.
And Squarespace.
Coming up on the show, we're talking about James Cameron's new feature film, Avatar, Saboteur, a video game, as well as The Prisoner from AMC, and James May's Toy Stories.
Three rad stars of the internet are about to spar over two avatars. The CGI's subpar. The blue looks bizarre. Cameron should stick to sonar in his submarine car. Oh, and M. Night won't mar your cartoon about war? The kid with the scar is Slumdog Millionaire. They smash plastic guitars, rip comics from Mylar. Geek fights go too far on The Totally Rad Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 143. I'm Alex Albrecht.
I'm Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Totally Rad Show's weekly dose of all things rad. We strap into the D-Box, put on some 3D goggles, and go snorkeling through Pandora. You know, why not snorkeling?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I tried that D-Box at the theater.
Not
a
so
fan.
much. You got D-Box?
Really, it's not.
So
I
D-Box
wonder
is
if
like
people
this
even know what we're
rumble,
talking-
it's this rumble
Yeah.
seat thing, sort of a la Matinee with John Goodman.
Yeah.
You know?
Speaking of rumbling your seat, we got us a badass background.
Awesome background.
Olmo
Podum.
Podems from Belgium.
Belgium.
We like to call him Tickle Me Olmo.
I love it.
I'm sure he just went unsubscribe.
This is tough. This is such
awesome.
a badass background
Yeah.
that it actually superseded
And
an
usurped
Avatar background.
Yes, we definitely wanted to use Avatar background because we've got some cool ones, but this is so hardcore awesome that we had to go with it because we were also doing Saboteur, which may be overshadowed a little bit by the movie we're talking about.
So we have finally seen Avatar, the much anticipated, much controversial, even on this show, movie by James Cameron that we're excited to talk about. So shall we get into the...
Yeah,
Let's get into
it's
that.
Geek
Meat and
Christmas, come
potatoes.
early.
Or
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah.
This week in movies, we are going to talk about a historical event. We are talking about James Cameron's the World Series.
Well, no, I was just like,
1953.
how's this historical? And then I was like, maybe you're saying because we've never reviewed a James Cameron movie on
Well,
the show, or...
I'll go into that because we are talking about James Cameron's Avatar. Now, there's probably a lot of teenagers out there that have never seen a James Cameron film. And there's probably many of you out there that have only had the opportunity, because I only saw True Lies and Titanic in theaters, and I'm in my late 20s.
Yeah.
Because he made a lot of R-rated movies, and they were all in the 80s.
Yeah.
So, just to let you know, a very unique filmmaker in that hasn't made a ton of movies, but every single movie he's made, forgiving Piranha 2, which was like not even really done completely by him, has been a major box office and critical success.
Yeah.
So it's Terminator, Terminator 2,
Yep.
The Abyss,
Yep.
Aliens, True Lies,
Yep.
Titanic.
Yeah.
Massive. Even Steven Spielberg, now he's done more, but Steven Spielberg has had
Couple
his
more whiffs.
1941.
Yep.
Some people say AI, later on in his career. So
Indiana Jones 4.
right. So a pretty big deal. This guy's returning to cinema, and now we have it. Now, not only
He's
that,
not returning to cinema, really. He's been doing this
well,
for the last 15
sort of.
years
So
or whatever.
the deal is, I also mentioned it's historical, and already this movie has made history. And one, it's had a very unique marketing campaign, but also the technological advances that went into the making of the movie. And there's plenty of places to go online to read them from people who can describe them in a much more proficient way than I could. But I can mention
that Hulu
briefly,
clip you showed was really
Well,
what
James
blew my mind.
Cameron's movies have often been
That's true.
on the absolute cutting edge of and propelling forward of technology in film, not only in content as in like what this movie's about is about technology, but also the way these films are made. I mean, Terminator 2 changed everything by using computer graphics to create those morph effects. No one had ever seen anything like that in a film before.
That's right.
And they built Titanic. They literally built the Titanic.
Well, the Titanic was the first, I believe, was the first time they used digital stunt people.
Yeah, the crowd, the digital crowd.
Yeah, and like the guy that falls and hits the thing.
It's interesting. This is we're now verging off track, but it's okay because this is what we're talking about. Is that he says Avatar is a screenplay that James Cameron wrote 15 years ago or so, and he couldn't do it at the time because he didn't want to be puppets and all that. He knew that someday they would get to a place where we could realize his vision. And what was one of the tipping points was Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
There would be no Gollum in Lord of the Rings without the Abyss CG work and Terminator 2. And also, the other technological advance that Lord of the Rings had was that massive crowd control thing.
Capital M.
Which came from Titanic's crowd. So, interesting, right? Okay, so what he's done for Avatar is one, really up the game on performance capture. So we've seen the CG movies from Robert Zemeckis using the motion capture or performance capture technology, but James Cameron invented this camera system that photographs the actors' faces. So on top of the musculature ball,
no, musculature ball.
Whatever, however they read.
That's very technical.
The muscles in an actor's face to turn that into animation. They're also now seeing the faces and seeing the eyes and the expressiveness.
Yeah, it's cool to see. They have this little, it almost looked like a microphone, but it's actually a small camera that sits in front of the face and shoots the face while they're acting out these scenes. It's recording their voices at the same time and their performance stuff. It's pretty amazing. And they built this whole room, big warehouse that was all performance capture area, so they could actually be moving around in three-dimensional space with all this capture. It was getting how they were interacting with other objects and other people in the space as well.
Yeah, and then you can set, I mean, the risk of going too far into this, but then you can set these performances and that just exists as data, and then Cameron can go in with a camera and see a very rough outline of that data and film it however he wants.
Well, this is the other thing, is that he invented this camera system, the name of which I'm forgetting, so normally up until this point, when you shoot composites, when you're shooting special effects sequences, when you see the making ofs where people are on a green screen, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, whatever, they are acting and against another thing that's not there, and there's a green screen there, and that all comes in later. And they might be able to see a rough composite, they might shoot it and then have it roughly on the computer and then see a composite of what that might look like, but it doesn't really all get there. You have to use your imagination. Well, they've developed this system where you are now the director is able to see it, and you have your LCD viewfinder on your camera,
it's shooting
and you're
augmented
seeing
reality.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's augmented reality directing. I mean, that's because his camera, he's walking through the 3D space, watching the performance as if it existed in this three-dimensional space he was in with a camera, which is just above and beyond. I mean, it's just a different level of play.
This is, like I said, already has made history. It's not very often where you get to go to the movies and to see something that
no one has ever done.
No one has ever done, exactly. But it could be Bound for Glory, which was the first movie with the Steadicam, or the first CinemaScope, The Robe, right? Or it's Star Wars, or The Matrix, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn to you guys to weigh in on that. But before I do, Avatar is about a Marine, a handicapped, a crippled Marine. His twin brother was a scientist that was going to be on this excursion on this planet Pandora. He passed away, and now this Marine is going to take the place of his scientist brother to explore the biology of this planet, but is also working for the Marines that have other intentions.
Well, they're not. I mean, they may be ex-military, but they're private
Yeah, I
security
don't
for
know.
this company.
Yeah, good point.
Military-industrial complex. Basically.
Right. Exactly.
So, that is the story.
Sort of.
It is directed by James Cameron. Derided by this guy. Alexander Albrecht, what did you think of Avatar?
Yeah, this.
Sorry. Also shot in 3D.
Oh
Yeah. Let me ask you:
And
is
3D
it going to be played in anything other than 3D?
Yeah, it's also being released in 2D.
Oh, okay.
They have formed. They've
Flagged
want it to be good for both versions.
Perfect.
It's also being released in IMAX 3D. We saw it in
Non-IMAX.
Non-IMAX 3D.
Right.
So we'll be chiming in on that. And it's a 3D technology that he's been developing all this time. But I think it's not the same 3D that we've been seeing in other 3D films. Spy Kids used the first iteration of it, but I think now this is his own proprietary 3D stuff.
Okay. So, I was a little worried going into this movie just because based on what I saw in the trailer, and you can see in my sort of Comic-Con coverage of the trailer itself, I was a little bit disappointed because I, didn't know any of this, like, filming in this augmented reality and how they were doing the performance captures and all that stuff, and I was like, I kept thinking it was going to be bigger than just a better motion capture. You know what I mean? Better computer graphics. I wanted it to be, from what I had heard, that it was going to be, people were like, well, you've never seen, game changing and all this stuff. And so I had a lot of like, we'll see. At the end of the day, it just looks like a bunch of golems. That's cool, but let's see how it's different. From the get-go of this, first off, the 3D technology, I'm just going to say, is amazing, mind-blowing, unbelievable 3D technology. So take that. Enjoy that.
Take that. Take that.
I mean, it's like not even worth dwelling on. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. It's great. Moving on.
Consider it dwelt.
Yeah. This movie starts, and it made me pine for James Cameron to direct every sci-fi movie I ever see from now on, and wished that he could have had his hands on the Star Wars prequels. The technical stuff that you see going on is so utterly realistic that I kept finding myself going, well, did they make some of these models? And what part of this is made and what part of it is not made? I mean, you could not discern, in my opinion. Some of the practical stuff, like the face masks, have a little bit of a distortion on it, and I think it was just the glass, but it gave you this feeling of everything is a little off, but it's all real.
It's hyper real.
It's hyper real. I was completely blown away by this movie. I think it's probably one of the best, if not the best, sci-fi movie I've ever seen. I was in it the entire time. I was never once thought of any of the computer-generated characters as anything other than real practical beings. I was completely convinced.
Practical beings. Logic. They don't.
No. Yeah, I mean, real, like, guys in suits. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
There are times when the action starts, and I mean, it's just, it's great. Is the story the best story ever told? No. It's pretty. I mean, there's a lot of cool little twisties and like, oh, this is an interesting thing. At the end of the day, it's just sort of a generic sci-fi thing to put your, bad people want to make money, indigenous population has to rise up and fight back. I mean, there's nothing really new there. But my God, the action sequences, the whole world that you get put in is so flushed out and realized that you actually feel like this is a place you could go and visit. And even down to like the little creatures. And one of the things that I really loved with the 3D technology were all of the ambient particles, scene to scene, that just like when the first time he's in Pandora and there's all these bugs. And I felt like I was like, I feel like I'm gonna get covered by bugs and I don't want that. Unbelievable, super fun. I'm gonna see it in IMAX again. I mean, it was way better than I thought it would be.
Let me be clear.
Poop.
You need to see this movie. You need to see this movie on the big screen, and you need to see this movie in 3D. You need to see this movie as soon as humanly possible. It is... If you look up the word awesome in the dictionary, it is that. It is a feeling of awe. I spent about the first 5 minutes of this movie just marveling at the 3D, just absolutely marveling at it, and I spent the rest of the movie, as you say, lost, absolutely lost in this fantastically realized vision. And what's so, there is not 1 second of this movie that there isn't something spectacular on the screen. There is no frame of this film that there isn't something to look at and astonish you. It is incredible, incredible imagination at work. The smallest little details, there's these bugs that that their wings come out and then they spin around and fly up, and that moment is like, it's such a special moment in film.
The little
and
lizards,
it's a throwaway little
Yeah.
effect. I maybe shouldn't admit this, but there were moments where I sort of teared up a little bit, not because of what the story was communicating to me, not because of any emotional moment in the film. I was emotionally moved by the triumph of what I was seeing on screen. The like, these movies aren't made. No, people can't make these movies. Like,
it
this
costs
one guy,
$350 million.
exactly. This guy can make this,
Yeah.
and did.
Yeah.
And there is so much care and so much pure, ballsy vision. And you know, leading up to this movie, there was a lot of cynicism from a lot of people, especially the geek community like us. And I wouldn't say we were cynical about it, but there was some skepticism from us. There was skepticism, and I think that's different from cynicism. There's a lot of cynicism online of the blue, and you saw a little bit in our fun intro to this episode, is that like the blue creatures. And it would have been so easy for a lesser filmmaker to design this movie to be cool. It would have been so easy to make those creatures cool, in the quote, like, dark and you know, like,
broody,
yeah. And he is so ballsy to stick with this idea of color and life and to go that direction. And I defy any person who feels that way about these characters going in to sit through the length of this film and get to the end and not just have one of the most incredible cinematic experiences of their lives.
The facial expressions that they're able to get, you're getting characters that are fully computer-generated characters whose facial expressions, whose non-verbal emotional communication is so spot on. I was laughing at looks that these characters were giving each other. I was scared out of my pants at some of the looks that they gave each other.
I remember you saw your pants on the ground.
My pants went, I'm out of here. I'm getting a hot dog.
Danny?
I don't know why my pants are so weird, but...
I mean, it was, no. So, I feel privileged.
Hey, 2012, we will take you seriously every time you say that.
I know, don't mess with us.
I don't even think that's funny anymore.
That's not good. I feel like I missed out on Star Wars. I missed out. You know, I saw Star Wars on home video. I saw Empire Strikes Back first. So I didn't have my brother tells me the story of sitting in the theater and the Star Destroyer scrolling above you. You're like, what is? Oh my God! You know?
Everything's different now.
I've only heard the legacy of that. And sorry, but movies like Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, really cool. They're not these kinds of movies, even though I referenced that before. What this movie does is like Wizard of Oz, 2001, Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like
the peanut butter solution.
it is
I see what you mean.
just
the real tent poles.
Navy SEALs.
Anything Charlie Sheen.
Commando.
So go ahead.
Anything Charlie Sheen. The Chase. So it is a beautiful movie. And the way that I feel listening to a song, my favorite song, where there's nothing intellectual happening. It's just pure, just emotion is happening inside you when you listen to a song. That's what watching this felt like. And I don't even feel like I saw a movie. I feel like I just visited. I took a spaceship to this planet Or it's like I went to a theme park, you know? Like I feel like I went to a place and had an experience at that place. I don't feel like I was watching a movie.
Right.
And
It's 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And if they had started it again,
Yeah.
and I would have
agree.
gladly watched it
Completely
again.
agree.
Yeah.
And speaking of the performances, you know, I could watch this movie again and again and again, and you generally can only do, or I can only do that when the performances are really special.
Yeah.
Other movies, I watch the action scene again.
Right, yeah,
But
yeah.
a movie like Jerry Maguire, for some reason, anytime that movie's on, I will devour it because the performances are so good that you're
had me
always
at
saying, nice. Or Princess Bride or whatever. Like there's lots of great movies out there, but they're one-time experiences. Though I will say, when you watch this movie, you will never have that. I mean, that first time of experiences, and it is a must-watch in 3D.
You have to.
Oh,
Let me ask you this. As I was sitting there thinking, you were talking about performances.
Yeah.
What's her name? Zoe
Saldana.
Saldana.
I didn't
Yeah.
even say who the heck's in this movie. But
Yeah.
It's all right. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Go on.
I think she should be nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah.
And it would be such an incredible thing to have this person whose human skin we never see.
Yeah.
I think she deserves an Academy Award nomination. And maybe you would have to nominate her and the effects team as it would be so, and they'll never do it.
Well,
it'd be
she
so
did a lot, but
awesome.
that's the other thing was, part of my skepticism at the beginning of this was, oh, it's just performance capture. Oh, she should have been credited as a voiceover actress. That's what I might have even said in the thing. After watching this and watching the stuff, the Hulu thing,
It's a great performance.
What you guys are
this
saying
performance.
right now is why people are throwing out that word and all you cynics and skeptics are scoffing at it, but that's why this is a game changer. Because what you just said, how do you even credit? Do you credit the animators and her?
Yeah.
I mean, this is changing the game. And the 3 dimensions in this movie. This is James Cameron, I think, is saving the movies. I mean, you don't really have that many reasons now with Blu-ray in your home theaters to go to the movie, and a lot of people aren't. And they released the Blu-ray a month after the movie's released. This is a movie where the only way, and I think we are going to have way more of these now. I think every filmmaker who's making a movie right now,
If it goes to see this,
and
it
goes,
goes,
shit.
Well, that's the thing. When I was walking out, I kept thinking to myself, one, I can't believe that this one guy actually conceptualized this whole thing.
And he conceptualized it.
He conceptualized it,
15
then
years ago.
figured out how to see it through. I mean, the pieces that need to come together
pure
to get
audacity,
this.
the audacity of this project to actually accomplish it. It's a staggering achievement.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
It needs to make money.
I know.
It needs
That's
to
why I
make
like
a
and you
ton
need
of
to,
money.
like you just.
I hope
wanna
it does. I
want to
really hope it
reiterate what
does.
you said too,
If
because
it doesn't,
sitting there,
we're screwed.
Sitting there as the credits rolled, I went, I don't want to own the Blu-ray of this.
Yeah,
I do
exactly.
because I'll probably have a ton of behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah, that's the stuff I want to watch.
I want to see this immediately again in IMAX. I want to see it on another screen.
Yeah.
It envelops you.
And when we were younger, Star Wars, even before home video came out, they would have to release the movie again. That's why Star Wars was made
I've
so much.
just realized I need to turn this into a screening room. Right?
With 3D.
It's dark. We just.
I need to say
happening.
one other thing about
Nobody's
the
excited.
music, the filmmaking of this movie. I didn't like the score. I was just a little disappointed.
score was
Sounded like Glory.
But
It's Blue Glory.
the reason why this will become a classic, and why it already sort of is a classic, is that it's pure cinema. It is so. District 9, phenomenal movie, phenomenal science fiction film. The Matrix, great flick. Pulp Fiction, great movie. They are not classics. They mark the time in which they were made. Right now, we're very into the aesthetic that District 9 was made in.
Yep.
But Gone with the Wind, Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
Psycho, Star Wars, there's E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's a reason why, Casablanca, there's a reason why they're called classics. You can watch Raiders of the Lost Ark now, and there are things in it that are dated.
Yeah.
But on the whole, you can have a very similar experience to watching that story unfold the way you did when it was made.
Yep.
E.T., same exact thing. You can't do that with The Matrix. You can't do that with District 9.
Yeah.
James Cameron is a very purist in that the way a story is told, it's not tons of the moment stylistic choices. It's very classical, but the best representation of that.
I could not agree more with that. I think that's so well said, Dan. And at the risk of opening an old wound, and I don't want to get into this discussion, but I did think of, on the drive home, really, screw you, Transformers. I mean, like, this is, the idea that Transformers is even in the same league is that, it's like, there are so many things.
You said about Transformers, I mean, it's like everything.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, that kind of bombastic, epic film, it's so like lowest common denominator and stupid, insipid, little moments, and that's okay for what it is, whatever.
Yeah, they did that.
This is playing on a level, like you say, level of storytelling that is above all of that. It is like pure, iconic.
Dude, and Sigourney Weaver back, and the guy who plays the commander guy, the head of the security.
Quaritch, yeah.
Genius.
He is
genius.
a revelation, dude.
Genius.
What's that? I mean, that guy's, he's going to be in more stuff now. I know we've already seen
He's
some
in a
things.
couple things,
But, dude.
Yeah, no, I know.
A badass.
Badass. Best mech fights
Go
ever.
see this movie.
Reload.
So we just had a 20 more minute discussion about Avatar, but we're talking about video games now because there is
The Saboteur.
a big video game being released this week, and sadly, I think we've talked about this before, that these studios in this economic
Crazy
climate,
comedy. What?
this unfortunate economic climate means that a lot of these studios are being closed, and they ship a game, and their reward for shipping a game is everyone loses their job. And unfortunately, that's the case with this game. Pandemic Studios, right here in our backyard, Santa Monica, has come out with the Saboteur, and unfortunately, that was the last game that studio has made, and it's really unfortunate because the game itself is a pretty big, interesting game. I mean, it is literally Grand Theft Auto, Nazi-occupied France.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, and
Yeah.
It is very much the Grand Theft Auto template. You've got a strong story-driven thing, but in an open world, there's driving. A lot of the story is communicated while you're driving with the people. I mean, it's very Grand Theft Auto 4 specifically. And you get there's lots of side missions, and there's a leveling up mechanic and a lot of stuff. It's got some cool stuff like perks that you can unlock that give you bonuses that Grand Theft Auto never really did. And I would say the biggest addition to the formula that it brings to the table is this aesthetic of everything. You're basically working to free the land or inspire the resistance to the Nazis. And the areas that are still under Nazi control are in black and white. All of the color has drained from, except for like red,
like
red
little
blood,
color accents and stuff. Yeah.
or like important things that you need to see will be in color.
yeah.
It's interesting the way
or
they do
yellow
that.
windows.
Yellow windows. And then once you do enough deeds to quote unquote inspire the populace to fight back against the Nazis, the areas flood with color and you get a normal looking game. You play as Sean Devlin, Irishman,
Irish rogue.
race car driver, man about town. I mean, the story is very pulpy. Dan, start with you. You loved Grand Theft Auto 4.
I sure did.
And you love that kind of third Persian,
Hi, Sean.
third person action
person.
game.
Right.
What do you think of the Saboteur? There's also boobies. I left out.
Well, you, my friend, got to see the boobies.
You could have downloaded the
had
boobies.
I didn't want to pay $3. I'm cheap.
I would have given you $3 for boobies.
Wait, isn't that illegal?
What?
Giving him money
This
for
isn't being
boobies?
recorded, is
Go
it?
ahead, go.
It's a travesty for me that this game did not come out when Inglourious Bastards was out.
Yeah.
Because if I could have come home after seeing that movie and played this game, I would have had tons of fun. The milieu is all. This game is only as good as its setting, I think, and it's so well realized. And the music is awesome. That
Yeah, it uses in the same way
30s
that
era.
in the same way that Grand Theft Auto 4, like you get in a car and it turns on a
Russian
like Guns N'
music.
Roses.
Or, yeah.
Yeah. This game, you get in a car and you hear music that's contemporary to the time period,
Right.
which is cool. It's kind of like BioShock was in that like old timey kitsch kind of coolness. Yeah.
Right. But and I love the. I wish the whole game was black and white. I've always been mentioned. I was like, they should make a black and white game, and it's so gorgeous. And Mad World is not the kind of black and white I like. This is the kind of black film noir.
Yeah.
Man, it wasn't there. Gorgeous black and white. It took me a long time to have fun. I was thinking of you. Of Jeff always says I had to find the fun. And I was like, I feel like I'm trying to find this fun. I don't know where it is because there's a climbing mechanic in the game that answers to anyone who does not like the climbing in Assassin's Creed where you hold a button.
Yeah.
Well, here you have to press the button. I'm just tapping A. I'm just tapping A, and like the game really wants me to just do. It doesn't feel like I'm actually interacting with the game correctly. And I wish it had Assassin's Creed's climbing mechanic. I could have had a lot more fun playing this game if it was like that, or Infamous even. But once the set piece missions took hold, which was basically the end of the first act, you have this big Zeppelin set piece. And then you realize from then on, it's like set piece after set piece, and those are a lot of fun.
Yeah, and they do a great job of using all the things, all the trappings of that time period. Like you say, the Zeppelin, the Eiffel Tower, you have these cool landmarks that you've never really seen in a game before.
Right.
And this time period.
And to do that kind of thing is cool. But it doesn't feel really well made. Like it just feels like, when I don't know if I should be stealth or I should shoot, and then when I'm doing things, it just doesn't feel totally cohesive.
Alex?
Yeah, clunky is kind of how I put it. For me, the game itself aesthetically was very interesting and super fun to be in that world.
Yeah.
But then it says, okay, well, you got to go meet Luke over in the frickin' whatamabutts, and you're like, oh, okay. Oh, I'm supposed to steal somebody's car, and that's totally cool. Oh, okay. I guess
Grand Theft Auto-y.
Right, but in Grand Theft Auto, you're a criminal. It's sort of that's what it's about. In this, you're a rebel trying to free the people. Except I'm also stealing the cars, and then people dive in front of your car. So and you have there's nothing wrong with running over civilians in this. And I understand
if you do it
Grand
too
Theft
much,
Auto,
you have to do a lot. But then they'll like shut stuff down.
No,
for
I
you.
know.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like just trying to get in front, and I'm like, why are you jumping in front of my car? I mean, literally, you're like, and you're doing that, and I'm going, I'm just trying to get to a butt. Bah! Sorry. I'm on your side. Hate the
That's the whole break and start thing. I'm like, oh no, you go.
It sucks too because you'll go near like cathedrals and there'll be nuns walking.
Yeah.
You're like, I just ran over a nun.
You're like, oh,
I
man.
totally didn't mean to. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little nitpicky, and I think for me, you're right. The Zeppelin stuff, like when it gets into the big set piece stuff, like even like all of a sudden you're back in 3 months earlier, and there's this really timed out race that is so rigged it's not even funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, why am I racing? And why those cars are like a year ahead of me? And it's like, oh, I guess I must have hit the time at which I'm supposed to win the race or whatever. Because then all the cars like slow down and you pass them. It's like, oh, thanks for that.
They call that rubber banding.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, what are we doing? But anyway, but then afterwards you go through and you're like trying to escape and you get your weapons for the first time. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get this now. But then I think overall it just kind of fell. It just wasn't as much fun as I wanted it to be. Now that said, I'm not a big fan of this kind of game. This isn't really my genre, as it were. I think Dan is sort of more apt to give it you and Dan are sort of more of that. Like I didn't really like Grand Theft Auto 4. So I think I was overall disappointed with the game. I was sort of like, it's like it had a good wrapper, but on the inside, there really wasn't anything good in there for me, at least for me.
Kind of like the Black Eyed Peas.
Kind of like the Black
They
Eyed
have a good
Peas.
rapper, but
Yeah.
Also, the map system, like I had to keep on checking my map.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. I was
you have to go
set a mark, two steps
in order to
like
get
one
to the
step
map.
too far.
You have to load the thing and then press A to see the entire map.
And it's like I have to use it so much
Yeah, I agree
that
with
weird.
This
what
game
did you
made me
think?
realize how good Assassin's Creed 2 is.
Interesting.
And it's unfortunate that Pandemic is no longer, because it would be interesting to see what a sequel to this game is like, because I think that the first Assassin's Creed is very analogous to the experience that I had here. It's like there's glimmers of really, really cool stuff, but the execution is rough around the edges, as you guys have all said. The climbing mechanic is broken. I mean, the idea that in the loading screen it'll say like Sean's area is on the rooftops, and in Assassin's Creed 2, you really feel like when you're on the rooftops, you're in control and you can get away.
Yeah.
Not so in this game. The tops of buildings are really poorly designed, and you can get stuck. And I always felt like the best way to get around was getting in a car and driving. Yeah. I think the end of this game is awesome. It's one of the coolest endings. Like the end happens. Did you finish it?
No.
The end happens, and you get the credits, and then it goes right back into the game, and it's like, this is the beginning. And you get to still play in that world, and it's all seamless, very, very slick. I don't want to explain any more than that, but I liked it. And there's a lot of fun stuff in this game. As you said, the set piece story moments, they're really clever, and it's awesome to be fighting on a giant Zeppelin that's on fire.
And the perk system, I love that there is some leveling stuff in there, because that's the stuff that I really love about any kind of game. You know, so we talk about with Borderlands, all these other RPGs, it's like that's the stuff that I really enjoy getting into, is personalizing my guy.
I wish the story wasn't so pulpy. It's very
tongue-in-cheek and
it's very boobs and cussing and and that's fine, but the subject matter is so rich and so real and so dark. It could have been really a cool subject matter for a game. Yeah. But I will say, how cool is it that this year alone we have 2 games where you can literally explore France and the Renaissance Italy. Yeah. Like you can explore Nazi-occupied France. The streets are all right. The architecture is very close.
It's super cool that we're going in that direction. Yeah.
That is awesome, and that is a lot of fun.
What was that game What was that game?
True Crime Streets of LA.
True Crime Streets of LA, where it was like that was the big thing.
True Crime Streets of LA was awesome because I could drive.
You could drive to my house. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was not awesome.
I know, but.
So yeah, this is a game I would say I had fun with, but it's overshadowed by a lot of the games that are coming out right now, and it's unfortunate that it's not a home run. It's not a terrible game. It's just
it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. To talk about a little bit of the old boob tube, aka television. We're going to talk about 2 shows. One's actually a mini-series from AMC, a remake of the old 60s television show, The Prisoner.
One would say classic television show.
It is. Well, it's a very big cult hit in the kin of Doctor Who.
Not classic, I would say.
Oh, well,
So AMC
I never saw it. Did you guys see it?
I saw a couple episodes.
I tried watching it when I was a teenager, when I not old enough to appreciate it yet, and
it's like a not campy Get Smart.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it.
I mean, it's like very weird, those old British telephone booths and this bouncy ball, which they did bring back. They bring back the bouncy ball, white ball of death, which is interesting. So the remake of The Prisoner on AMC is a 6-episode miniseries starring Ian McKellen as number 2. And Jim Caviezel as number 6, I haven't seen Jim Caviezel in anything since Passion of the Christ, right? Or has he done some stuff that maybe
it was in your buddy's
has slipped
movie.
around?
It was actually really good.
Yeah.
I forget what that's called.
I also forget what it's called.
But he's been in a couple things, but
nothing really. That was sort of the first time I'd seen his name up in lights, where I was like, oh, interesting. And I like Jim Caviezel. I think he's a really good actor at times.
I was going to say, ironically, not in lights.
Not in lights. Yeah. In TV lights. LCDs.
Yes, something.
Whatever. So the prisoner surrounds number 6, who wakes up in this strange village run by Ian McKellen, number 2, and he is trying to be convinced that the village is all that there is nothing outside, and that anybody who thinks that there's an outside is insane. And then the show moves on. So 6 hour-long episodes. Dan, what did you think of The Prisoner?
Short answer is I didn't like it.
Okay.
I was very confused by
Jeff,
it.
what did you?
Longer answer is it's. I mean, there's definitely hook moments that really arrested me and was like, oh my god, I'm actually into this. I can't wait. But then it's a 6-hour-long dream sequence. So it's edited that way. It's shot that way. But there's no, I mean, we just talked about Avatar. You could take some lessons because there's no virtual reality. There's no window into this world. There was no, even looking at the pilot of Lost, you get a sense of, even though it's chaotic, you get a sense of what it is, where it is, who it is, and then a weird thing happens.
Right.
And then it's normal, and then another weird thing happens. This was weird from the beginning. I couldn't relate or identify to anything that was happening, and then more weird stuff was thrown in, and then I just could never find normal here. I needed normal to then see abnormal.
Gotcha.
And it just felt very preachy and messagey, and it was about the thing as opposed to following a story, and then I realized, oh, I just got
it's
something
showing
about
me
something.
about this thing. Yeah, interesting.
So
all in all, not so much.
not so much.
Were there any standout episodes that you liked?
I think the second episode, I don't remember what happened, but I remember the second episode I was like, okay, this isn't, oh wow, that flipped me out, and then just confused,
then
lost
the other ones
confused,
happened.
Yeah.
Jeff, what did you think?
I agree with everything Dan said, and I think I liked it less than he did. I didn't find those hook moments. And I was really excited to watch this. I had always heard about The Prisoner and was really excited to see a remake because I kind of knew I would never really track down the original and watch it. And I didn't really know much about it. I always thought it was, I don't know what, you know, I didn't think it was this. This is not at all what I thought this was about. Which is fine. It would have been cool if it was not what I thought it was about and then it was something good. But you know, Ian McKellen's one of my favorite actors, and the playing Shakespeare, the John Barton playing Shakespeare with him in it was one of the seminal moments of my young actor life. And I love everybody that's in that, David Suchet and Patrick Stewart and all the people that are in that have a special place in my heart because of that. And so I always love seeing Ian McKellen, and there was a lot of joy just watching him work because he's such a special actor. But I was baffled as to why he and Caviezel were part of this. What drew them to this?
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say, and I almost did this on Twitter, and maybe it's not something you guys can answer right now, or maybe it's something the audience might want to send us emails about because I would find it interesting. I want to say, and maybe I'm forgetting something, but I want to say, I don't think I have ever liked a dream sequence in anything.
You need to see Akira Kurosawa's Dreams.
All right. No, but I mean, like in a book, in a movie, and I always want the dream sequence to be over.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
And you're right, this is a 6-hour dream sequence, and it was a chore to get through.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let
me just say one more quick thing.
Yes.
Sorry to
No, go.
add to some of the things we're saying about this thing, the specialness of The Prisoner and all this legacy. Christopher Nolan was supposed to make this, I think, before, not the miniseries, he was supposed to make the Prisoner movie. That was the big news, I think, before Dark Knight. Wow. He decided against it.
Well, Prisoner, and I wanted to seek out, and I didn't just because of time constraints. I wanted to seek out what the actual raison, like what it was at the end of The Prisoner that was the thing that was actually going on, because
it doesn't seem like it could be this.
It doesn't seem like it could be this.
This is very contemporary.
It's very contemporary.
Yeah.
So I will say I think I liked it better than you guys, or more than you guys, but not by much. And it was really
Don't get carried away.
No. And it was real because I think overall it failed in my opinion, at least for me. The first 3 or 4 episodes, probably even maybe 1 or 2 episodes, were really, really good. The last 2 to 3 episodes is when the whole thing fell apart. And I have what happened in this miniseries is what I fear is going to happen in Shutter Island, which is I hope that the ending. I hope that what's happening isn't this, and then. That's basically what happened, and I was like, oh yeah, that as soon as we figured out what was happening, I lost all interest in the show. Because the thing that it was about, in my opinion, just wasn't that interesting. And you know what it was like? What was that movie? Vacancy, I think?
No, Identity.
Identity.
Which is a spoiler for the movie Identity. But we haven't said anything yet.
We haven't said anything.
I think that was a pretty cool movie. I don't know.
It was a pretty cool movie, but then as soon as you figure out what it is...
Identity was cooler than this.
Right,
Yeah.
But the ending of that movie made me go, oh, I wish it wasn't that. I wanted it to be... It almost invalidates the whole miniseries, in my opinion.
I will say one more other quick thing is that I love the idea of miniseries.
I think it's great.
And I was really hoping, it's been a long time since we've mentioned this, but The Lost Room.
Yes, I thought about the whole. Dude,
Which I've never seen.
The entire time, Jeff, I literally was like,
Juliana Margulies, right?
I literally was like, I would every time I would put this on, I went, I gotta check Amazon to see if that's out on Blu-ray. I swear to God, dude, I have to watch that again.
If you haven't seen The Lost Room,
I haven't. You convinced me.
Yeah.
So
rent that instead of this.
Yeah.
Please.
So that was The Prisoner
I'm
on
gonna rent
AMC.
it. I'm gonna watch it again.
So we were going to be covering
Something else.
V.
Yeah, we already kind of talked about it.
But we already kind of talked about it, and Jeff stumbled across a little British gem.
Well, actually, a viewer by the name of Jonathan saw the stuff we've been doing the last few weeks
With toys.
Specifically the Raised on Rad we did last week with slot cars.
Amazing.
And sent this link to me.
When I
and
saw
was
this
like,
episode, when I saw that episode, I was like, I see how this happened. So James May, who is I'm trying to think of what they call it.
Presenter.
British presenter.
A British presenter.
A British presenter. He's in Top Gear, right? And he's been on a bunch of different shows. I know he was on F Word with Gordon Brown at one time, or Gordon Ramsay at one point.
The Prime Minister decided to
do a show called F Word. So James May, it's called James May's Toy Stories, and what he has done is basically make a series where he goes back through his childhood toy memories, which is actually kind of interesting to see the differences between the sort of analogous toys from our, like they have the slot car stuff is called what's it called, the something electrics.
Yeah.
Slot.
It's two words stuck together.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
It's like Speedo Electrics or something like that, and everybody, that's what they call electric cars.
Play-Doh is plasticine.
It's plasticine, yeah. So it's like this really cool sort of thing, mechanic set or something they call it, instead of like a Erector set, they call it something else like Meccano structure or something like that.
Meccano, yeah.
Yeah. So basically what he does is he goes back through his childhood favorite toys and then kind of tries to revitalize the desire of people to enjoy these toys by putting on these giant, very well funded stunts. So they did the kit airplanes, and the way that he tried to get kids to get excited about it was to try to make these kits, and that kind of didn't go so well. So then he was like, well, let's make a giant life-size version of this
model airplane
based on plastic so there's all these different things. The slot car one, they basically recreated an entire actual famous race car course with slot car tracks, and it was a world record too.
Oh, you didn't see that one?
Oh, it was really great. It was really great. It's like 2.8
Maybe
miles.
my favorite one.
They basically took the tracks that we did like last week,
Right.
and they made 2.8 miles of it,
Awesome.
and they had people chained together so they could continue racing. They were handing off the cars.
Dude, huge ramps and like
'Cause they had to go through
a storm drain.
Yeah, because there were like houses
A real
that had been
racing
built
track
up.
as a storm drain?
Well, no, because
but
it was an old one that broke down, and so now
It was
there's
in
like,
disrepair,
Yeah.
and so they had to there's like a building that's now a corporate headquarters
Sony.
built on that spot.
and
so
they had to go through the
they
Sony headquarters.
had to go up the stairs and through the. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
There was a pond, and they had a floating track that
Yeah.
they had to go across the pond. Anyway, Jeff, I mean, it's pretty clear what you're thinking. What did you think of?
Yeah, I
James
love
May?
the show, and thank you, Jonathan, for bringing it to our attention.
So funny.
Love the show.
I love the show.
Hey, Ray stands here.
First time caller. Love the show. No, I mean, as I mentioned with Ian McKellen, I'm very much an Anglophile. I love British culture. So right there, it's already a win for me.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. But this show, the concept is awesome. It's already stuff we're into. It's there's an upcoming. This is the show that's playing right now. I think there's only 4 episodes out, but there's more coming. And one of the ones is they're going to make a full-size home out of Lego. A home.
Yeah, I saw the promo.
Awesome.
Right.
So already, I mean, the concept is already cool. But what makes this show even more special than just a really cool concept is the execution is not just about pulling these stunts off, which I think if it was brought over to America, it kind of would be.
Yeah.
There is an infusion of heart that it makes the viewing experience so much even more special, because it really is about this host living out childhood dreams And even more than that, it's about him trying to get a new generation interested in these old concepts.
Right.
And what is so heartwarming and wonderful and a joy for me is how multi-generational this show is. I mean, the very first episode, James May introduces these kids to this thing, and then he brings his mom and dad at the end, and it really made me feel so awesome watching it. It is such, at the risk of getting a little meta, it's the same reason I think we do this show. It's finding that kid that's still alive in all of us and nurturing it. It's having this wonderful nostalgia for these things that gave you so much joy and happiness as a child, and still bringing them through your adult years as well. And this show accomplishes that in such a fun way that I really hope people can track it down, because, I mean, we had to seek it out. It's not playing here that I know of. It might be coming to BBC America, I hope so.
Yeah. Dan, what'd you think?
I didn't like it as much as you, Jeff. I think it's a good show. It's a good show, and it's worth checking out.
He's killing me a little inside.
Yeah, no, I just didn't love it. What I do find interesting, though, is the differences between. Because now I was thinking about how I've seen the American version of Kitchen Nightmares and the British version of Kitchen Nightmares, and I thought about the relationship that those two have, and then seeing this, and I realized that one of the reasons why I didn't like it, let me just say, is I think it's not perfectly edited. I think the show would have been much better at a half hour or 45 minutes. It's a full 60 minutes each episode, and everything, I see so many steps of everything, and not everything. There are some things that are really funny little moments, and some big moments happen, but there's a lot of little tiny things that aren't that funny, aren't that interesting, and that I really would have enjoyed a little bit more.
An abridged version.
A little bit more pace, a sense of pace. And I think an American version probably might have gone overboard and been a little bit more packagey.
Yeah.
And that's what I find, because Kitchen Nightmares, the British to the American, they're also the British shows are very casual. These two reality shows.
Yeah.
He's this guy, it looks like James May is doing a lot of the work. They're not doing work and then the host is just representing that. It's like, I think some things are contrived a little bit the way any reality show would, but it does seem that it's a lot of him trying to wheel and deal with people to make something happen, not producers trying to wheel and deal with, and people react to it that way. And it's just interesting how casual that is, and the difference between that and an American show. Very interesting, but a little long.
Yeah, I think I'm right in between you guys, sitting
In fact,
right now.
You are.
But I definitely liked it a lot more than you did. I was sort of okay. There was a little bit of pacing issues, but I had so much fun experiencing these toys and all this great British stuff, because I too am a bit of an Anglophile. But I don't think it really knocked my socks off, you know what I mean? I'm not chomping at the bit to see what happens in episode 5, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I think it's a really fun, if you have any even remote interest in some of these historical toys, it's a must-watch. Because at
it's
the
also
very
kind
least,
of a cool, as we're gearing up to the holidays and people are talking about toys.
Yeah,
it's a fun, festive kind of
totally, and it brings
family.
back so many memories. It's a little bit old for us, even.
Sure.
Yeah, I wasn't. I had a friend that was really into model airplanes,
right.
But for me, I was like, I think I made 2.
I love model airplanes, but I had Snap-ons.
Right. This is definitely another generation. But they're going to do Lego, which is
that's cool.
Wheelhouse.
So it's definitely a seek out. See if you can find it. I'm sure watch a couple episodes online and see if you like it. And then the fun thing is it's actually continuing to be aired right now in the UK. So it's going to be continuous. It's not one of those things that's like, oh, we saw a couple episodes, but it's been canceled.
And we have
for 3
a lot
years.
of UK watchers.
Viewers. Yeah. So enjoy.
Viewers.
All right, everybody, before we get to our email, we do want to thank our sponsors, such lovely sponsors as the new Ford Sync. Now, this Ford Sync comes on most Ford Lincoln Mercury cars.
There's a sink in cars now?
Unbelievable. You want to wash your hands.
Everything in the kitchen sink.
Clean dishes. It's unbelievable.
No, it's way better than that.
So
kind of
Sync is a hands-free connection to your mobile device, your mobile phone, MP3 players, media player, everything you need, all hands-free. You can choose to make phone calls just by straight up hands-free, or actually calling out playlists that you want to be listening to.
Yeah, that's
MP3
awesome.
player starts playing.
It really is like Knight Rider.
It really is.
Come to life.
It is. It totally is. But not only that, it gives you a 911 assist. So if you're in an accident, your airbags go off, it calls 911 for you.
Knight Rider had that.
411 information.
We didn't need 911.
So it's got 411 information built into the car, turn-by-turn navigation to get to the businesses that you find out about. You go, I want Chinese food, and it goes, turn left.
Emergency Chinese food.
Emergency Chinese food. Call 911, and then get me to just one Dallas.
Michael.
Also, health reports from your car. Mind-blowing. Your car will email you and go, hey, bro, need a little bit more oil.
The only problem with the sync is that it always calls you Michael.
It does. It does. This is the one little hiccup. But also, it does weather reports for your area, as well as sports and news updates through your car.
You can get like sports scores or like your fantasy football. That would be helpful for me.
Amazing.
Playoffs
So you can
starting.
get more
Playoffs.
information going to syncmyridepodcast.com.
I get to tell you about Squarespace. Now, it's possible you haven't heard about Squarespace, so I'm going to start from the beginning. In the beginning,
Man-made rocks.
yeah. Well, I'm going to skip a little bit to now.
To Squarespace.
And Squarespace is if you want to talk about anything on the web. Let's say you want to make your own website about anything. The easiest way to do it is to use Squarespace. They have hosting options. They have this WYSIWYG editor that lets you create
Unbelievable.
anything you need really easily, but not in a sort of
Haberdashery
plug and
kind of
play.
way.
Yes.
Not like a hat
Well
maker.
done. Yeah.
A hat maker?
It's a haberdashery.
The idea
hat
isn't
store.
like these old crappy, like I used to have a website made with Yahoo, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and it looked like 1,000 other crappy websites out there. These
Next week
are
we're sponsored by Yahoo.
these websites that we all have are really cool. They look awesome, and it's all because Squarespace makes it easy. TotallyRadShow.com was made, and if you haven't seen beautiful in website, then you haven't seen TotallyRadShow.com. That's
true.
I mean, there's like this puppet show that I want to do about it, but I don't really have time. The point is, get Squarespace. They have an iPhone app that makes it even easier. You can go where you want to go, do what you need to do, all on your phone. You can update your blog. You can take pictures on your phone and upload it to your blog without ever having to plug your phone into anything. It's all on your iPhone. There's nothing they haven't thought of.
awesome.
They thought of everything.
Space boots.
Do you go to them for a plan or something, or?
I want space boots.
Well, if
yeah.
you'd like to do that, you can
Squarespace.com.
go to squarespace.com, use our promo code, which is TRS, and it gets you 10% off.
Booyah, lifetime
Do
of
it.
your order.
Do it. Do it.
Daniel Burpin Trachtenberg.
Burps McGee over here. I'm really excited that we're sponsored by Extract, a movie. The DVD, Blu-ray coming out December 22nd. Really cool because we did not get a chance to see this.
I haven't
slipped
seen it.
by, yeah. This is the Mike Judge
And I
movie.
wanted to see. Yeah, I really wanted
If
to
only
see.
there was some smaller version that I could watch in my home.
in
Maybe
high
burned
quality.
into some sort of laser disc.
So Extract is the next movie from Mike Judge, who created Beavis and Butthead, but did the movie Office Space that we all love.
Classic.
And a lot of people are putting out their.
I'm gonna need you to look
Right.
at this new movie.
A lot of people are putting out their end of the millennium, the last 10 year, the decade.
End of the
end of the decade.
Jesus.
the millennium
They're starting that list
started
now?
in 1010.
The end of the decade best list, and I've been seeing Office Space and agreeing with that choice on many of them. And Extract is, I never saw Idiocracy, but Extract is sort of returning to the magic that was Office Space, and it takes place in Office. But instead of it being from the worker's perspective, it's from the guy running the show, Jason Bateman, who's
He can do no
hilarious
wrong.
in everything.
He can do no wrong. Jason Bateman.
Mila Kunis is also in it, who I thought was actually pretty good in.
She can do wrong,
A is
but
super
it's so
hot,
right.
but she's in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. She was
Yeah.
really good, and Ben Affleck, who I do never have worn hater pants on, and I think he's in a very self-deprecating role here as a stoner.
Yeah,
so.
stoner.
And it comes out perfect in time for Christmas. So grab a copy of the Blu-ray.
Nice, very nice. Also, speaking of the holidays, if you are maybe questioning what you should get your geek in your relationship, How about talk to the Techzilla peeps?
They know what to get.
1, Patrick Norton, and 2, Veronica Belmont. 3, the entire crew and cast of Techzilla. They're doing a holiday gadget guide special, episode number 118, I think, right? 118. So head over to revision3.com/Techzilla. Check out episode 118, their holiday special. I'm going to watch it. I just watched a little bit of HD Nation, too, to find out about some Blu-ray DVD stuff.
I once guest co-hosted Techzilla.
Oh, good for you.
So I sort of feel...
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
That was like 5 years
Amazing,
ago.
amazing. Anyway, let's get to our email, shall we? We shall. Thank you, Alex. No problem. Please continue. I will. Hey, guys.
Just witnessed Alex's dream show, by the way.
Yeah, that was me on me. Hey, guys. So a friend of mine was just telling me about this recent study that showed that children in the past, when told to go play, would go and play make-believe games and things. But more recently, children were told to go play, and they would respond with, play what? So they apparently lack the imagination to play without specific instructions. Well, this got me thinking about when I was younger and my stepbrother and I would create complex and detailed fantasy and superhero themed pen and paper role-playing games since we didn't have access to the commercially produced versions of these. Did you guys remember inventing games when you were young? Exploding fist pumps, Chris. Awesome. Amazing. Greensboro, North Carolina. I love that he signed it Exploding Fist Pumps. we have definitely heard about Dan's treacherous lava avoision game.
Avoision?
Yes, with pillows and avoision of the lava.
He wanted us to play that so badly when we were in
I
London.
know, it was really fun. We played a little bit.
I'm avoiding the lava!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
by lava, he meant your
Jeffrey,
farts.
no, I'm not gonna tell you. There's some. It was like Nuremberg. I don't even know what that means. I had to go on war crimes trial for what I did to you guys in London. So, Jeffrey,
Not inaccurate.
Jeffrey, what did you invent as a child? Maybe some games.
Very similarly to our illustrious emailer,
Yes, Chris.
my
From
friend
Greensboro, North
Billy and
Carolina.
I, growing up, wanted more than anything. It's such a shame that all these things happen later in life. Because man, I would have loved to have like massively multiplayer online, whatever.
Oh my God.
But we invented.
I can only imagine what I would have been like as a kid with WoW in my life.
Was a goodbye
Amazing.
grades. But we invented a game, a superhero role-playing game.
Oh, yes.
All in our minds. And I guess I've
Oh yeah,
a
and
few
you
times.
couldn't be Galactus, right?
You invented
Beyonder,
the guy.
it can be the Beyonder.
You can be
Beyonder.
Beyonder, yeah.
We can be Galactus. I mean, come on. Galactus can eat worlds. He's the eater of worlds.
It's like, I pick up a car, I eat your world.
It was all spoken out. There was no
love this game,
paraphernalia. It was like you get to select 3 characters and you have the combined powers of those 3 characters. So like if I picked Wolverine, of course my friend's gonna pick Magneto. It's the Rock to his scissors.
Of course.
Or to my scissors. You know, because they both have pointy, sharp things on them. The point is, then you would communicate like, okay, now I take flight. All right, well, I lift the car and throw it at you. Okay, so the car's about to hit me. What are you gonna do? Well, you know, it was like beat by beat by beat.
We need to play this game on the show.
The end result.
This is what Google Wave was invented for.
Actually, kind of is. I warn you, the end result of this is nothing ever happened because it was all about just explaining
It was the
why.
picture of 2 superheroes like,
Yeah, and
then
no one
stuff
ever hurt each
happening
other.
and
But it was
nothing-
phenomenally fun. We played it for hours.
It's awesome.
amazing. Dan, any other inventions
Couple
other than
things.
the lava avoision?
I love this question. Very similar to what Chris did. My friend Avi is going to be very embarrassed that I'm going to tell you guys that we used to do what we called playing games with ourselves.
Yeah.
Continue.
which was not as bad as it sounds, thankfully. Which was basically making a movie without a camera or anyone watching. But we would go. Oftentimes, I was Jack Burton.
Yes.
And he was Wang.
It's getting worse.
It's not getting any better.
We would like. I had a bunk bed, so we would like the bunk bed was like we're driving on the and I had a car racing simulator thing, like a toy that was like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like 2D. It was like the
Yes,
blinking
yes,
car that
yes,
like moved like
yes,
blinked.
exactly. And so he'd be like, I'd be like climbing on the side, like fighting dudes on the side, like Indiana Jones and Raiders, and like we basically, and he had these like socks that had traction on it, and he was Spider-Man when he put those on, and then he'd climb, and we would go throughout our houses and have different fight sequences in different rooms. I mean, we were doing movies He's also a filmmaker now, which is interesting. And then also...
Funny point, he's a filmmaker.
Also, he's Spider-Man.
Also, my sister and I played a game called Roller Coaster, where we would take a mattress,
Oh, yes.
put it on the
Staircase.
top of the stairs,
Yes.
and go down.
I always wanted to have a 2-story house just for that.
And I always had the...
Well, Alex Albrecht broke his forearm
Oh.
roller coaster?
trying to get down the stairs on a hobby horse.
Wow.
What's a hobby horse?
It's a stick with a horse head. It actually sounds kind of graphic, but no, I had this like stick with the horse, which is a hobby horse, and he would go like, "I'm on a horse, horsey, horsey, horse," and I was like,
you only broke your forearm. You could have been much worse.
No, it was really
The
scary
stick there.
because I was like, I could probably go downstairs, and I went like 1, ooh, that was weird. 2, oh, not good. 3, ass over teacups, just down, and I was like totally
Why were you
calm
drinking
and.
tea?
Well, I was like 1, and then I was like, no, my ass is over the teacup. Oh, it sounds good. I've broken the china and my arm. So I obviously did tons of stuff. Most of the stuff that we did was outdoors. The sort of, we would sort of amend hide and go seek to the nth degree. So we would always be doing the tags, the multiple variations of tags, inventing variations of tags. We got really into laser tag. Which was a new invention that we had. Which
variation on
yes, we had tennis balls that we called lasers, and we would throw them like laser beams at each other. This is not true at all. We actually just bought laser tag, but we would have like different things where like one person was like the head of the government, and we had to like follow him around, like try to get him out of the burning buildings, and people were shooting and stuff.
fun.
It was just super fun. At the end of the day, I think
wish
when we
that
were
was
growing
now.
up, we had so much more to do with our brains because there was so little. Captain N was like the.
Wasn't the worst
Yeah, but-
time? Wasn't the worst time dusk? Dusk
Yeah.
was the worst time because you knew it was
almost time to go
almost
inside.
time. You had to go in.
Yeah.
And inside was where homework lives.
Yep.
And you knew that like you just wanted to play a little bit longer. You could just keep playing shooting baskets or something. But now I can't even see. Like you're throwing the ball at me. I can't even see.
But
it.
I want to say, because it sounded like you almost went there, and I just want to say that they say, oh, but nowadays
I
kids
never
are
touched my friend
kids are-
inappropriately.
You
were almost going there.
Now,
I just wanted to make it clear.
Now they're saying, oh, but now with the Xboxes and the World of Warcraft,
They were
the
saying
kids
that
aren't
when we were
playing
kids, too.
Right, a Nintendo. Oh, they're with
Yeah.
their Nintendo.
No, I
they're on
know.
their Nintendo. They're Segas. Look. I mean,
Kids
before
go
that-
outside. My
yeah.
cousin goes
kid-
outside and plays like stick against a wall, just like we did.
What?
Everybody loves stick against the wall.
You want to send your email.
You go ahead and email us at fans@totallyradshow.com.
Also, send us in backgrounds. We love it. We were so
Amazing
impressed with
Saboteur.
this one, and thank you for the Avatar ones.
Yes,
you guys are awesome sending those. If you want to download this one, you should check out totallyradio.com because we have all the backgrounds we've ever used.
Yeah, I was there.
All the backgrounds we've ever used there, as well as instructions how to create your own and send it to us and what specifications we need. So we love getting those. Please keep sending them in. We love displaying the user-submitted backgrounds.
Technical specifications.
Dan is here. And so
The
Blog. Go to totallyradio.com/blogs and see.
That's singular. I've
Oh,
already
blog. It's blog. And see the things that Jeff writes.
Mike.
And see, one, what we're going to review in an upcoming episode.
Correct.
2,
Very inaccurate
any
this
sort
week.
of newsy stuff. Yeah, right. 3, the awesome the intros that we do to our show, those cool stills telling a story. Mike makes them all in Photoshop, and the way he does them is so awesome. You get to see in a time lapse how he puts them
it's
together,
amazing.
and they're
Artistry.
really, really hypnotic.
Artistry, yeah.
Also, head over to jinx.com/TRS and get yourself some gear. In the next week or possibly 2, we're going to be announcing a new line of products.
Our fall line.
And
In the winter.
Our
we're
winter
going to be
line.
phasing out some of the older products. So just get over to jinx.com/TRS and get yourself some swag. That is it for this week's edition of the Totally Rad Show. I'm Alex Albrecht.
Jeff Canada.
I'm Dan Trachtenberg.
Until next time, go
See Avatar.
Yes, I concur.
Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome to Blip. Because I was like, all right. Like they've been waiting.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Finally.
Shut up, we're gonna start. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number.
Oh boy.
It's just cold in here.
It is.
Oh, you ready?
I am.
Oh, good. I was waiting for you guys. Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Totally Rad Show.
Wait, I'm glad you didn't use that because you went. Okay, now what?
Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 143. I almost said 33.
Yeah,
Here we go.
43.
Hey! Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode.
Wow. What is this?
It's
We have
unprecedented.
143 outtakes.
It's
over here.
unprecedented. Hey, everybody! I tried to surprise myself. I was like, if I just okay. Hey, everybody! Welcome. That was so somber.
Wow, you were like, hey, everybody.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Totally Rad Show, episode number 143. Really? It wasn't me. I did it. I went through. And then you guys laughed. I don't know why. Hello, and welcome to the Totally
No, there's no normal
No, I
way to
don't. I was
start.
just about to say, how do I normally start? All right, you guys
Maybe
ready?
Jeff should start.
No, I don't want to start.
Here we go.
Now on Blu-ray and DVD, the new comedy from Mike Judge that is insanely funny.
Adios, dinkus.
If you liked Office Space,
I did.
you will die for Extract.
Are you serious?
Extract, ordered on Blu-ray and DVD today.